If you have a fixed deposit or a savings account in India right now, you aren't saving money. You're effectively paying an invisible 30% tax on your future wealth. Between the 2024 tax changes and the 2026 inflation rates, your safe money is actually shrinking every single day. We've all been taught that FDs are the bedrock of Indian finance. But I've realized that 70% of smart, hard-working Indians, including software engineers earning 1 lakh rupees a month, are making financial decisions based on advice from 1995. And it's costing them crores. Today, I'm breaking down the 5 financial shifts you must make in 2026 to stop the leak. We're covering the debt trap, the new tax reality, and the one asset you're almost certainly underinvesting in. Okay, real talk. Last month, I was chatting with my cousin, Priya, 29 years old, software engineer in Pune, earns around 85,000 rupees a month. Smart girl, cracked a top-tier college, solves complex algorithms for a living. And she asked me, totally seriously, Rohan, is a fixed deposit actually a good investment? My dad says it's the safest option. I had to take a deep breath. Because here's the thing, Priya is not alone. I'd say maybe 70% of the earning Indians I've spoken to are making financial decisions based on advice that was relevant in 1995. And the brutal part, they don't even know it's costing them lakhs, sometimes crores, over a lifetime. I'm Rohan, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart, hardworking Indians are unknowingly leaking wealth, not because they're lazy, but because nobody actually sat them down and explained how money really works in 2026. If you're someone who earns a decent salary, maybe even invests a little bit, but still feels like your money isn't going anywhere, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it helps you out. I put a lot of time into researching this stuff so you don't have to. Today, we're talking about 5 financial concepts every Indian must understand. And I promise you, at least 2 of these are going to genuinely surprise you. Let's get into it. Alright, concept number 1. And this one is for every person whose money is currently sitting in a savings account or a fixed deposit, which is, by the way, most of India. Here's a number. As of early 2026, the average Indian savings account gives you 3% to 3.5% annual interest. Even the best FDs right now are offering somewhere around 6.5% to 7% for a 1-year tenure, post the RBI's rate cycle adjustments. Sounds okay, right? 7% sounds like free money. Here's what most people don't realize. India's consumer price index inflation averaged 5.1% in 2025, with food inflation touching 6.8% at its peak. Source Ministry of Statistics, CPI data, December 2025. Now do the math with me. If your FD is giving you 7% and inflation is running at 5.1%, your real return, what economists call real inflation-adjusted return, is barely 1.9%. And that's before tax. Because, and this is the part that will genuinely annoy you, FD interest in India is taxed as income at your slab rate. If you're in the 30% bracket, that 7% suddenly becomes 4.9% post-tax. Minus inflation, you are actually losing money in real terms. So when Priya's dad says FD is safe, yes, your nominal amount is safe. Your actual purchasing power quietly eroding every single year. Now, I'm not saying don't use FDs. They have a place. Emergency funds, short-term goals, protecting capital you cannot afford to lose. But as a wealth building tool, no, absolutely not. The mindset shift here is stop thinking of safety as my money is not going down. Start thinking of safety as my money is keeping up with the cost of living. Those are two completely different things, and confusing them is costing millions of Indians their financial future. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Rohan, compounding? Really? I learned this in school. Bear with me because I guarantee you haven't seen it framed like this. Here's the standard thing people hear. Start early, money grows exponentially. Einstein called it the eighth wonder of the world. Yes, yes, yes. But here's what most finance channels don't tell you. Compounding is equally brutal in reverse, and most Indians are experiencing the negative version of compounding through high interest debt without even realizing it. Let me give you 2 real scenarios. Scenario A. Arjun, 25 years old, starts a SIP of 5,000 rupees per month in a diversified equity mutual fund, assumes 12% annual returns, which is roughly what the Nifty 50 has delivered over the last 20 years. Source: NSE Historical Returns Data, 2005 to 2025. By age 55, that's 30 years, he has invested a total of 18 lakh rupees. His portfolio value, approximately 1.76 crore rupees. 18 lakh rupees became 1.76 crore rupees. That's the magic everyone talks about. Scenario B. Meera, 25 years old, she has a credit card with 1 lakh rupees outstanding balance. Instead of clearing it, she pays just around 3,300 rupees every month, barely above the minimum due. Interest rate 36% per annum. That's the standard rate most Indian credit cards charge. At this rate, it will take her over 9 years to pay off that 1 lakh rupees, and she will end up paying approximately 2.4 lakh rupees in total, more than double the original amount just in interest. Same mathematical principle, completely opposite outcome. This is where it gets really interesting. The average Indian credit card outstanding balance in 2025 crossed 42,000 rupees per active card holder according to RBI payment systems data. And with credit card penetration growing 18% year on year, we are heading into a personal debt crisis that nobody is talking about loudly enough. The actionable step here is simple. Before you invest even 1 rupee in the stock market, clear your high interest debt. I don't care if the Nifty is at 25,000 or 30,000, no equity mutual fund in the world will consistently give you 36% returns. Your best guaranteed investment right now might be paying off that credit card. Okay, this one genuinely excites me, and I don't know why more people aren't talking about it. In simple terms, the Indian government has literally built wealth creation mechanisms into the tax code, and most people are either ignoring them entirely or using them wrong. Let me walk you through the basics. As of FY 2025 to 2026, under the new tax regime, you get a standard deduction of 75,000 rupees. No questions asked. Under the old tax regime, you can still claim ATC deductions up to 1,50,000 rupees, PPF, ELSS, life insurance premiums, home loan principal, and so on. Now here's where it gets nuanced. A lot of people just dump 1,50,000 rupees into a regular LIC endowment policy to save tax and call it a day. That is one of the most expensive tax-saving mistakes you can make. Why? Because traditional endowment policies often deliver 4 to 5% returns, barely above inflation, while locking your money for 20 to 25 years. Meanwhile, an ELSS fund, Equity Linked Savings Scheme, qualifies for the same 1,50,000 rupees ATC deduction, has a lock-in of only 3 years, and has historically delivered 12 to 15% annual returns over 10-year periods. Source: Amphi India ELSS Category Returns 2015 to 2025. Same tax deduction, vastly different outcome. And then there is LTCG, Long-Term Capital Gains. As of the 2024 Union Budget Revision, equity LTCG above 1,25,000 rupees per year is taxed at 12.5%. Source: Finance Act 2024. Which sounds annoying, but here's the perspective check. Your salary income might be taxed at 20% or 30%. So strategically realizing equity gains at the right time, staying within the 1,25,000 rupees free limit every year is a completely legal way to generate wealth tax-free. Now, you might be thinking, Rohan, this sounds complicated. And look, I understand, but I promise you this is learnable in an afternoon. Understanding the difference between STCG and LTCG, between old and new tax regime, between ELSS and a regular FE, that knowledge is worth lakhs of rupees over your lifetime. The psychological shift: stop thinking about tax saving as a February panic at the end of the financial year. Start building a tax-efficient portfolio from April 1st. One decision made early can save you thousands. Thousands of those decisions made year after year save you crores. Okay, we're getting into slightly more advanced territory now, but I need you to stay with me because this is genuinely the concept that separates people who kind of invest from people who actually build wealth. Here's the thing. In India, the default portfolio for most middle-class households looks something like this. Physical gold, 1 or 2 FDs, a PPF account, maybe a life insurance policy from 20 years ago. And if they're modern, a few mutual funds they chose randomly based on a WhatsApp forward. That is not a portfolio. That is a collection of financial products with no strategy behind it. Asset allocation is the deliberate decision of how much of your money goes into which type of asset: equities, debt, gold, real estate, cash, based on your age, risk tolerance, and financial goals. There's a classic thumb rule: hold your age in debt and the rest in equity. So a 30-year-old keeps 30% in debt instruments and 70% in equities. It's a starting framework, not a rigid law. But here's what the data shows for India specifically. The Nifty 50 has given approximately 13% CAGR over the last 25 years. The 10-year government bond has averaged around 7% returns. Gold has given roughly 10% CAGR in rupee terms over 20 years due to both price appreciation and rupee depreciation. Sources: NSE, RBI, MCX, respective 20-year data. A balanced portfolio, say 60% equity, 30% debt, 10% gold, has historically given you smoother returns than 100% equity with significantly less volatility. You sleep better. You don't panic sell in a market crash. You actually stay invested, which turns out to be the most important variable of all. Here's a real example of why this matters. During the COVID crash in March 2020, the Nifty 50 fell almost 38% in under 40 days. Investors who had no asset allocation strategy and were 100% in equity panicked and sold, crystallized massive losses. The Nifty recovered fully by November 2020 and hit new highs by December 2020. The investors who had a balanced allocation, their portfolios fell maybe 20 to 22%. Less pain, less panic, they stayed in, they won. This is where it gets really interesting. Rebalancing. Once a year, you look at your portfolio. If equities have run up and now represent 75% of your portfolio instead of 60%, you sell some equity and buy more debt or gold to get back to your target allocation. You are forced to sell high and buy low, the thing every investor says they'll do, but almost nobody actually does. Actionable step: open a piece of paper right now and write down everything you own financially. Then calculate what percentage is in equity, debt, gold, and cash. I'd bet most of you will find you're either too concentrated in debt and gold, the safe trap, or have no real diversification at all. That awareness alone is the beginning of serious investing. Okay, last one. And this might be the most uncomfortable one for some of you. We talk a lot about financial capital, money, investments, assets. But for most Indians under the age of 40, the single largest asset they own is not in their demat account, it's not in their PPF account, it's not in their flat in Noida, it is you, your skills, your expertise, your earning capacity. Think about it this way. If you're 28 years old, earning 12 lakh rupees per year, and you work until you are 60, that's 32 years of income. Even without any salary growth, that's 3.84 crore rupees in total future earnings. With even a modest 7% annual salary growth, we're talking 15 to 20 crore rupees in lifetime earnings. That is your human capital. And most people are completely passive about it. Here's what most people don't realize. A 10% increase in your earning capacity has a bigger impact on your wealth than a 10% better return on your portfolio, especially when you're young and your portfolio is small. Let me be specific. You're 30. Your portfolio is worth 8 lakh rupees. A 10% better return means 80,000 rupees more this year. Fine. But if you upskill, get a certification, switch to a company that pays you 1 lakh rupees more per year, over 30 years compounded at 12%, that extra 1 lakh rupees per year invested equals an additional 2.7 crore rupees in your corpus. 80,000 rupees versus 2.7 crore rupees. Which investment deserves more of your attention right now? Now, I'm not saying stop investing, absolutely don't do that, but I am saying the Indian professional's obsession with optimizing for 1% better returns while completely neglecting career growth and skill development is a massive, massive mistake. The Indian upskilling market is growing over 19% annually as of 2025, driven by AI, data, and tech sector demand. Source: NASSCOM Talent Report 2025. The average salary premium for certified professionals in high-demand skills, cloud computing, AI ML, product management, financial analysis, ranges from 25 to 60% over non-certified peers within 3 years. The mindset shift here is fundamental. Your career is a financial instrument. Treat it like one. Budget money every year for courses, certifications, networking, and mentorship, not as a nice-to-have, as an investment with a very high expected return. Alright, let me bring this home. 5 concepts. Let me run through them once last time. 1. Inflation is silently eroding your safe money. Real returns matter, not nominal returns. 2. Compounding works both ways. Kill your high-interest debt before you start building wealth. 3. Tax efficiency is a superpower the government literally gave you. Use it intentionally, not as the last-minute panic in February. 4. Asset allocation is the strategy that keeps you in the game when markets go crazy, and staying in the game is how you win. 5. You are your own biggest asset. Invest in your earning capacity with the same seriousness you invest in your mutual funds. Look, here's the honest truth. None of this is complicated, but the gap between knowing something and doing something, that gap is where most people's financial futures quietly die. I've talked to hundreds of people over the years who understood compounding perfectly, could explain it to you, and still hadn't started an SIP. People who knew their FD returns were beaten by inflation and still hadn't moved their money. People who knew they should clear their credit card and somehow never did. Information is not the problem. Inertia is the problem. The feeling that you'll get to it next month, next year, when things are more settled. I'm going to ask you to do one thing before you close this video. Just one. Pick the concept from this list that you know applies to you most. Maybe it's the FD thing. Maybe it's that credit card you've been ignoring. Maybe it's that upskilling course you bookmarked 6 months ago. Pick one and do something about it today. Not tomorrow, today. The best time to start was 10 years ago. The second best time is right now. That's it for today. If this video made you think even a little differently about your money, please hit that thumbs up button. It genuinely helps the channel reach more people who need to hear this. If you want me to go deep on any of these concepts, like a full dedicated video on asset allocation strategies for Indian investors or how to actually pick between old and new tax regime, drop it in the comments below. I read all of them. Subscribe if you haven't already. I post every week, and I promise you this channel doesn't exist to sell you anything. It exists because I genuinely believe that financial literacy is one of the highest return investments any Indian can make today. I'm Rohan. Take care of your money. I'll see you in the next one.